everyone, it's Maddie. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to T1D with Maddie, episode number 15 from March of this year, which should have been done in March of this year. However, there was a lot that has been going on in my life, as you probably already know. I don't need to really explain it any farther, but anyways, today's video, obviously by the title, is do I think taking a CGM break, a pump break, and switching back to fingersticks and MDI are a good thing? Do I think they're beneficial? What are my thoughts and opinions on them? So first of all, there's a little story time in this video. So if you watch more towards the end of this video, you'll get a little story time as to why I'm on almost day 14 of not having a continuous glucose monitor or my Dexcom G6. It is not present on my body anywhere. I always usually wear them on my arms. As you can tell, there's nothing on my arms. Only thing I have right now is the pump on my stomach and my insulin pump with me. So anyways, first of all, a lot of these pump breaks or CGM breaks, they call them little miniature vacations, as people like to call it. A little pump vacation, a little CGM break, whatever you want to call it. So basically what it is a person like myself who is on a continuous glucose monitor, which basically self-checks your blood sugar, and an insulin pump, which delivers insulin for you at a push of a button. Some of us will choose to go back to injecting ourselves with insulin and finger pricking to get a little break. Why do people do breaks? One of the big reasons is a financial reason. Maybe somebody cannot afford their next month's of pump supplies or their next CGM supplies or whatever the case may be. Money is not in the right state, so they will take a break. Unfortunately, due to finances, I hope none of you have had to do this, but I definitely know that is a thing, that people have to do this. The case of mine is not really a money issue at the moment. It is an issue with Costco's CMPP program, which again, I will get to later. Another reason people may take a break is because they may be too reliant on their pump and CGM to do everything for them automatically, and they may be having more roller coastery blood sugars, meaning their blood sugars swing from high to low and back down to low and up to high, high, low. Or they may be continuing having high blood sugars or poor absorption, or maybe they're having problems where every pump site they put on is failing them or is getting clogged, or there's a kinked cannula, or maybe every monitor they're putting on them is getting bent or ripped off or giving them sensor errors, or there's something maybe going wrong with the technology-wise that maybe people want to do this. Or they have an issue with their blood sugar, or it's a financial reason. I would say those are the big three things why someone would really want to break away from the technology that makes managing type 1 diabetes easier. Some people's pump breaks or CGM breaks are longer than what they plan to be, but typically if people are going to go off their pump, they're going to go off their pump for at least a good month so that they're not wasting precious Lantus sitting in their fridge. If you don't know what Lantus is, all it is a generic term for a long-acting insulin. Some people take Lantus. I took Basaglar, which is like the generic version of Lantus. There is Traceba. There is Levemir. Toujeo would be like another form of Lantus. It's a little bit higher power. There are varying forms of long-acting insulin, but those are the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. If I missed any, please let me know. So I would say a lot of people, if they're going to take a pump break, they're going to take a good break for at least a month, just so that they can get their body back used to having Lantus again. Not everybody keeps their pump break on for longer than a month. Some people are shorter than that. Some people do extend it for longer if they feel they personally need to keep it longer. Again, it may be a forced thing for a financial reason, but I often see many people who can afford their pump supplies or can afford their medications or their diabetic supplies will do this to try to get a better grips on their diabetes management, or to force themselves to take the insulin they need for a meal because they may not be, and they may be having higher A1Cs, or maybe for whatever reason they're finding that an insulin pump doesn't work for them, and then they end up returning back to MDI to get better absorption into their bloodstream. I'm not against this. However, right now personally in my life right now, it is not applicable to take a pump break or even a CGM break for that matter. Unfortunately, this is more of an issue that you have to deal with, and sometimes you will have these breaks when you unexpectedly need them. And that's why it is important to have a backup plan. If you are a pump user, make sure you have plenty of fast-acting insulin, possible long-acting insulin, a backup insulin pump, something that can cover you until if your pump were to fail on you, that you can keep yourself going with whatever needed insulin. Same with the CGM. Please, please, please always carry a meter and finger sticks in case your CGM were to go down, or you're like me, you've been on finger sticks for nearly 2 weeks. That is my only way that I can check my blood sugar, and make sure you have plenty of those supplies, plenty of lancets, plenty of alcohol swabs so that you keep your fingers nice and clean. So I'm not against them. I think a lot of people can benefit from them, and I feel like if you truly are having problems managing your diabetes, or maybe you're finding that the certain pump or a certain monitor isn't working for you, taking a break is totally fine. And I think the one beneficial thing to taking a break is to not feel like you're attached to a device like a monitor or a pump. And it's also, for me with the CGM, it's kind of nice not having that anxiety of being able to see my blood sugar every 5 minutes, but at the same time, I had a couple scary experiences without having my monitor. It just happened to me tonight that I was running kind of higher today, and I put a temp basal on, and I never thought to shut it off because I was going to water my garden. And all of a sudden, my blood sugar went from like 250 to 83 in like an hour. And I'm like, oh my God, I still have 2 units of insulin on board and a temp basal that was increased. So I had to drink 2 juice boxes, and my blood sugar, and I ate half a donut. My blood sugar right now is 141, and it's been well over an hour. So that really leads me to believe that I was plummeting quick, and I just happened to catch it. So there are definitely benefits to having a continuous glucose monitor, because I was missing that directional trend. However, it is doable, and you can manage just on basic finger pricks and shots alone. I've done it. I did it for a long time. I did just finger pricks for 4 months. Some of you have probably done finger pricks for years and maybe haven't had an opportunity to have access to a CGM so early on in your diabetes management like myself. I did multiple daily injections, or MDI, for nearly 1 year before I got my insulin pump. Most insurance companies basically want you, or I guess require you to be on multiple daily injections for at least 6 months before they even consider you for an insulin pump, because they have to see how you're managing with stuff, and it's like it's a whole mess up, and I'm not going to go into the legalities of it, but taking a break is not a bad thing. I think it can eliminate a lot of anxiety. It can eliminate the idea of having things attached to your body. I think it personally can make you more accountable for your management. So I'm not against them, but for right now, personally for me, I'm not for them. And I'd like to know any of your experiences. Please let me know down below if any of you have taken a pump or a CGM break. I'd really like to know. This T1D with Maddie episode is a little all over the place, more opinionated based, and a little bit more of why people would take a pump or a CGM break. But everybody is going to do what is best for them, right? Or what is best for them in their situation they're in now. So if you made it this far to the video, I'm going to share with you why I ended up having to take a 4 CGM break. And tomorrow is July 1st, which means I can go pick up my new set of CGM supplies, or my transmitter, or whatever the case may be. So, I don't know if any of you, but I've been having poor luck with the G6 transmitters, the Firefly ones that are kind of, you can't really restart. You can restart the sensors, but it's a little bit trickier of a method, but the actual transmitter itself, like, it doesn't last very long, the battery life. So I was having sensor errors back at, like, the end of June-ish, like June 20th, 21st, 22nd, 25th-ish. I was on day 7 of the sensor, and all of a sudden I was having tons of sensor errors. It wasn't reading. And I'm like looking, and I'm thinking, oh, my transmitter is gonna die on June 30th, which would have been fine with me. I was due for a refill for a transmitter on June 17th, and this is well past a week after that when I was having these sensor problems with the G6. Because it had been going more than 3 hours, I called Dexcom customer service and explained the situation, and they said, yes, your transmitter is dying. That is why you're having these problems. So they had to replace the sensor, but I'm very irritated at Dexcom. If this transmitter is supposed to last the 90 days, why is mine dying and fizzling out and causing sensor problems at day 80? That shouldn't be happening, and it shouldn't be failing a 7-day-old sensor that's supposed to last at least 10 days, if not more, if I can restart it, but they should be lasting the full 10 days. So I got them to replace the sensor. However, they kind of are very, very picky on replacing transmitters, because that's a big object that you got to replace every 3 months to allow your readings to come from the sensor in your interstitial fluid to your phone or your receiver to get your current glucose readings and the trends that you're experiencing. So I'm like, fine, no worries. I'll just call in for a new transmitter and a box of sensors, because I have a couple sensors left, and I might as well just get the box and the transmitter, considering we're dealing with COVID-19 and all that lovely, all that lovely stuff. I'll go in and pick that up in person altogether. So I called, And they're like, yeah, no problem, we'll refill it. I actually spoke to the pharmacist. I got a call back about 3 hours later, and he said, oh, I'm sorry, the CMPP program will not refill your transmitter until July 1st. And I said, excuse me? He said, yeah, I tried fighting with them, but you know what? They're not going to give any leeway, because I said, well, I'm overdue for one. I said, the last one I purchased was March 17th. We are well past June 17th. I did activate that transmitter on March 30th, but it's always good to have like a 10 to 14 day leeway so you're not without a sensor if you absolutely need one. Like I said, I don't mind going for a day or two, or maybe even a few hours or whatever until you switch it out or whatever the case may be. But to go on nearly 2 weeks on something that I can pay out of my pocket is pretty ridiculous in my opinion. He said the only way you could try is if you end up having your doctor override the prescription or do something of the sorts for sending a note in or some sort of documentation saying you need it sooner or whatever. But he said by the time your doctor gets it in and sent in, oh, July 1st will be up. So I didn't even personally bother with the reference call to my doctor. Now I'm kind of thinking maybe I should have, because back when I was, this is for another story for another day, but back when I was having issues possibly not having insurance, because obviously my dad was laid off due to COVID-19 pandemic and safer at home orders here in the state of Wisconsin, I was due to have my pump shipment in the middle of the safer at home, and not knowing if he was going to have insurance or not at the time, or Cobra or whatever the case may be. I wanted to get my pump supply sent quicker. It turns out I didn't need it, but I got the Omnipod rep to help me convince my doctor to change my prescriptions to say that I needed a sensor change more often. We didn't end up using that prescription, but in case the fact that I couldn't get my stuff in because of no insurance, I wasn't going to pay for something without insurance before it expired or whatever. It was like a whole mess up. So now that I'm thinking that my endocrinologist switched over my pump stuff that quickly, like she could have easily probably fixed this whole entire Dexcom G6 crap. Anyway, but he's like, you can't get that until July 1st, but we can get you the sensors. Like, I need the transmitter. I'm not going to put a new sensor on with a transmitter that's going to last only 8 more days, and you waste 2 days of a sensor, and then Dexcom has to replace that again. Like, I'm not going to put Dexcom through that. But I also am very upset that Dexcom's, for whatever reason, I've had poor luck with both their Firefly sensors. Like, they only last 80 days, and I have a 10-day leeway now where it's like, what am I going to do? Every 3 months for 10 days straight, I'm going to have to go without a monitor? I don't know. And he said, yeah, you're due for one. Well, I don't know why they're not giving you one. You're like well overdue. And by the time you'd get it, you're nearly 2 weeks past when you would be able to get a new one. You're not like you're getting it early or anything. I said, that's kind of strange. So they're making it July 1st. Now I kind of see why, because maybe they're looking at when I activated it. But just because I activated it doesn't mean it's going to last the full 90 days CMPP program. Things fail. Things don't work. I happen to have poor luck with the transmitters. So I'm thinking that's why they're doing it. And they're rolling it on the 1st. So it forced me to get it October 1st, January 1st, March 1st, July 1st, and October 31st. So it's more even and in sync. And maybe that is also why. So maybe the activation and keeping things in sync with the calendar year is making it seem that way. And it kind of makes sense, because when I look at my pump shipments, I get my pump shipments like on the 3rd week of January, April, July, and October, so that it's on a 3-month cycle. Excuse me, that is my phone. I will shut it off. So I'm kind of thinking that's why the CMPP program screwed up, but I still am a little upset considering that this is not run through my insurance. If you go to Costco and buy your Dexcom out of pocket, you know you're paying basically retail price for it. You're paying like $318 for anywhere from $318 to $380 for a box of sensors. That can vary, and I've had it vary on me. And you're paying anywhere from $150 to $250 for a transmitter, depending on what it's going for. And the fact that I'm paying for it out of pocket and not even bothering with the insurance, and I'm willing to pay for it, and you know what? Even if it is on a credit card, like, it is getting paid off. Like, they're getting their money. There should be no reason for them to deny me the ability to have a CGM. Just because their stupid program says something. And it's not like they're not getting their money. It's not like it has to run through insurance. There's a big ordeal with it. Like, I'm due for it. Let me have my prescription, for goodness sake. So it's a big mess up with me, and I'm on day 12 or 13 of finger pricks, but thank God tomorrow I'll get my monitor back, and I'm so thankful that I can finally not have to wake up every few hours and check my blood sugar and worry about my blood sugar plummeting, or like even right now, like, I can't tell if I've had I've been on top of it for the most part, but it's like how long have I been sitting at a 228 and maybe didn't know it? And I had that this morning where my blood sugar woke up a little bit higher. It was like 150. I haven't woken up that high in a long time. And I'm like, I had my breakfast, I took a bunch of insulin, and my blood sugar went to 230. And it just like sat there, and I don't know how long it sat there for. And then I had to take 2 times the dose of insulin because I was, for whatever reason, I'm insulin resistant today. It's kind of a weird thing. But anyways, I can't tell how fast my blood sugar's plummeting, and look how fast it plummeted after I watered the garden. It went from 250 down to 83 in like an hour and a half, and having 2 units of active insulin and having to drink like 30 carbs of juice plus half a donut, that leads me to believe my blood sugar was dropping quick, and I just so happened to have the instinct to check my blood sugar and be on top of it. And what if I wasn't on top of it? Or what if, heaven forbid, that I didn't have the accessibility at the time to check my blood sugar, and I didn't realize how quickly it was dropping or how many problems I was having. So I'm very lucky that I'm able to have the finger sticks right now, and I can keep buying finger sticks, and I'm very lucky that I had enough on hand that I don't have to go out and scramble for them or play guessing games with my blood sugars, which can happen. So keep that in mind when you have a break from a CGM or a pump, to always have a backup. Fight like crazy for the supplies you need, and always make sure that you are up to date on when you're available to get your prescriptions, and keep a calendar if you need to, because that is the biggest comeback I've gotten out of this, is like, I know when my prescriptions are ready, but keep your companies that you get your stuff from on top of it too, because obviously the CMPP program from Costco was not on top of it, and it definitely has made me upset. But you know what? I told you guys in my last video, if you didn't see it, I did do an explanation of what it's like to have an endo appointment post-pandemic wise, that being angry about it and super irritated about it isn't going to do me any good. Swearing about it isn't going to do me any good. Does it frustrate me and annoy me? Yeah, it's more of an annoying thing to me. It very much irritates my mother knowing that we basically pay for it out of pocket. Like, we're not troubling the insurance, we're not jumping through hoops, we're not making red flags and red tape for medical insurance. It's just buying it retail, just like you would go buy a bottle of shampoo off the shelf. Like, that's basically what we're doing with my Dexcom. We're not even bothering to use an Edge Park or Byram for a DME and running it through my deductible. We're literally just buying it out of pocket. Like, come on, give me the product, I'm due for it. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this T1D with Maddie episode, and like always, if you have any controversial topics that have to revolve around type 1 diabetes, please let me know down below. I'm thinking my next one I'm going to make is on my thoughts on diabetic alert dogs, because somebody gave me a really good video idea to talk about those, and if I'd ever get one, do I think they're helpful? And again, all thoughts and opinions and research is all on my own. If I did use any type of research, I will always link it down below for you to start your own education behind this topic around type 1 diabetes. So anyways, if you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. I post videos as often as I can about type 1 diabetes, plus more. Please stay tuned. I'm going to sit down in my teeth shirt and film my second semester in dental hygiene school. So far, everything is complete minus clinical hours, which we'll be finishing this July. Kind of crazy. And then I'm going to hop right into semester 3 and 4, and I will be done. So anyways, until next time, take care, God bless, be kind, spread positivity, and be thankful. Bye, everyone.